Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Boozer here. Thanks for joining me on this video. In this video, I'm going to be talking about Live Arena, but not in the usual context where I'm playing Live Arena in gold tier. In this video, I want to talk about Live Arena strategies for bronze and silver tier players. So basically players that are still progressing through Live Arena or just haven't really played the format that much. The reason why I want to make this video is because Plarium offered a new update where they're providing Primal quartz in these gold chests. So for every 35 wins, you get one of these chests, which is roughly, if you play daily, it's roughly 1 week if you have like roughly a 50% win rate. So the way I look at it is you get roughly one of these chests per week, which means you could roughly get one Primal shard a week. Like it or not, these Primal Shards will be the end game shard because they do provide access to the end game champion. It doesn't seem like it right now, but in the future, they will certainly flesh out the mythical champion pool, and they will be more obvious that those champions are the true end game champions. That's kind of my foresight into things. But you can see I'm limited to 4 Primal Shards per month. I did confirm in silver tier, you're limited to 3 Primal Shards per month. From these gold chests. So just something that I think incentivizes people to try out Live Arena more. I know it's not a format that everyone likes or even cares about doing, but I just want to provide a couple strategies here for the lower tier players to help them out, or maybe give them something to think about. So let's get started. All right guys, so tip number 1, I want to say that you want to make sure that your team actually gets a chance to go first, or actually gets a chance to go. So what I mean by that is, even if your lineup is lacking in champions, I would expect that you guys would at least have Arbiter or something similar to Arbiter at this point. So we all know her speed boosting, her aura works for Live Arena. So anything that says in arena battles means Live Arena, Classic Arena, Tag Team Arena. So Arbiter, definitely a top choice for Live Arena, especially if you have a thin roster. It gives your team a chance to go first, and usually going first would be gives you a higher chance to win, unless the other opponent has a very specific team to counter or deal with getting hit first. This kind of strategy not only extends to Arbiter, but also extends to any kind of speed boosting or speed lead champion, Lysandra, Gore Grab, for example. And this also extends to your champion. So you're looking for champions that are actually quick. You cannot sit there with slow champions because you will not be able to get a turn. For example, my damage dealers are actually quite fast compared to what they were a year ago before Live Arena, for example. See, my Rotos here is 230 speed. My Harima is almost 230 speed as well. So the way Live Arena works is you have to have champions that are independently good in a team that does not make sense, if that makes sense to you guys. So for bronze and silver tier, you're looking at teams that, because your rosters are not fleshed out, you're probably having teams that don't really make sense most of the time, and you're just putting in champions that maybe can match affinity well, or maybe they're your best gear champions, for example. So you need champions to be independently strong, independently good enough. So that's why having champions that are too slow or too weak by themselves, that are not ideal for Live Arena. So make sure you guys are prepared. Gear them up with a bit more speed if you guys can, so that they get a chance to go first. All right guys, so my tip number 2 is be prepared. So make sure your roster has as much different variety of champions that you can bring into a proper arena fight. So for example, they have to be properly geared, meaning geared to the best of their ability for arena. So what I mean by this, by being prepared, is you must bring at least some champions, not into the team right away, but you must bring your roster with these champions geared and ready to play. So for example, the different roles, you want to have at least one champion that fill these different roles. For example, a cleanser. A cleanser removes debuffs from your team, or from itself, or whatever, from one champion. So for example, here Pythion removes all debuffs from all allies. So this is a very important type of role for a champion. So if you have a champion like Pythion, obviously he was a fusion earlier this year, very good fusion, very good champion overall. He's gonna fill that role for you guys, and make sure you guys have something like this for multiple roles. For example, I'm going to list some roles here. You have a cleanser, you have a reviver. So Pythion here, for example, is a cleanser and a reviver. So if you have a Pythion, you knock off 2 roles. He's going to be your one dude that you want to bring and be ready to use, for example, right? Another kind of example is just bring a couple versions of damage dealers. You don't want to have 3 magic damage dealers, for example. You want to mix it up a little bit if you can. It depends on your progress, right? It depends on your roster. It depends on your gear. If you can't afford to gear 3 proper damage dealers, then make sure you have at least 2 proper damage dealers that can actually play well as they can in live arena. Because the basic strategy is you must be prepared to bring at least 2 damage dealers into your lineup. Because if the opponent removes your 1 damage dealer, and if you only have 1 damage dealer on your team, it's going to be 4 supports that you bring in against their team. I'm not saying that 4 supports cannot beat whatever team they have, because it's been done. I've done it. People have done it against me. It's been done. But your odds of winning are probably a lot lower than if you bring at least 1 damage dealer. So be prepared to have at least 2 damage dealers in your roster ready to go when you're drafting. Another champion that really is kind of nice to have in your basically your roster when you go into the drafting phase is somebody like a UDK. It's like a protection champion. He's a tank, right? He's a tank. So if you have somebody like a Vogoth, even a Vogoth can be a tank. Put him in a shield set, stick him in there, make sure you pick him at the end. He can protect your team, heal your team up. So just some examples, like I know not everyone's going to have UDK, not everyone's going to have somebody like Necrit. Necrit is a great protection champion, of course. But champions like these, it will depend on your roster, of course. Or it could just be a champion like I've seen, like, for example, like Hakorn Smashlord, for example, in a shield set. So it could be just something like that, like a high health, high health champion that has another role. So in this case, Hakorn Smashlord is a cleanser. He's not a great cleanser anymore. He's I believe a 4-turn cleanser. Remove all debuffs. Yeah, he's a 4-turn cleanser, but he has high base HP. So stick him in a shield set, and then he can be your cleanser plus protection champion that you will have to use once in a while. So I'm just saying, make sure your roster has a variety of champions to deal with a variety of situations. A lot of it will come with experience. You'll experience some crazy things in the live arena, and you're like, hey, maybe next time I'm gonna bring something to deal with this, or maybe I wasn't prepared as I want to be. So just something to think about for increasing your roster toolkit, for example. So, all right, guys. So tip number 3 here. In bronze and silver tier, after 3 consecutive losses, you will be getting a battle against a bot. I don't know exactly what the bot is, but I believe it's an automated. It's not a real. It's an account, but it's not a person playing it, and it will be played on auto. So and it will be played on auto, and it will be drafting automatically. So it's generally an easier fight. It will always ban your lead champion. So the first champion that you pick in the drafting phase, that bot fight will always ban your first champion. So after 3 losses, your 4th fight, usually you get kind of a gimme. So the strategy here is basically, even if you have no time to play live arena, you get 10 free tokens here. You get 10 free tokens here every day. Ideally, you go through all 10 of them. So even if you have no time to play, you will lose 3 fights instantly, win your 4th fight, and then continue this trend. So even if you have no time to fight, even if you have no roster, even if you have no viable roster, that's what you should do, because in bronze and silver tier, you do not lose points for losing. So you lost 3 fights, you don't lose any points, but you win 1. That means you're going up. That means you're ranking up slowly. So every day you will rank up slowly, even if you lose every fight and only win the 1 gimme fight. So that's a little bit of a basic strategy there. It's not the best at acquiring medals for your Great Hall bonus, but it is guaranteed progress heading up the tiers, of course, right? So slowly heading up. So just a quick tip there, quick strategy there. That's like guaranteed progression, but you're not going to get a lot of points for, you're not going to get a lot of medals for your Great Hall. Just something to keep in mind. All right, so the fourth thing I want to say is basically, remember guys, keep it in your mind that when you guys are matchmaking, it's easy to get frustrated at your opponent, whether they are much stronger than you or you just don't stand a chance and so forth. Keep in mind that true perfect matchmaking is 50% win rate. So if you're above 50% win rate, you're doing better than what the matchmaking is. You're on the positive end of that matchmaking. So once you start getting 50% and under, that's basically about perfect matchmaking or about where you should be. So if you're higher than 50%, then you can definitely progress higher, for example. Just a quick note, I know some people are very frustrated with matchmaking, and of course it's not going to be perfect. You're going to have inactive whale accounts that just, you're just going to run into them one day and then they're just going to beat you into the ground without any fight at all. It happens, but just remember guys, it's 50% for perfect matchmaking, which kind of is not possible for everybody. So just keep that in mind. Lastly guys, I want to make a quick comment about just having fun in live arena, being creative, taking risks. If you're up against a team, you see their draft and it's going to be, it's going to be a slog, it's going to be a tough fight, maybe an impossible fight. Maybe you should bring something in that they don't expect. Sometimes people, they don't ever see certain champions and then they don't know what they do. For example, I was recently beat up super bad by Jag Bonesaw. I have no idea what this guy did. Saw him for the first time and then I got totally wrecked in about 15 seconds. So what he does is he spreads debuffs, and they had a bomb champion, and then they spread the bombs to my whole team and blew it all up. So that's about it. So I'm just saying, take some risks when you're doing your draft, especially when you know you're up against it. If your win rate against somebody else's draft is 0%, why not take a risk and try to win in an unorthodox way, or maybe test out a champion. Try a champion that you don't really play with very often. The format is very low stakes, right? Live arena, especially in bronze and silver, because you don't actually lose any points. So it's very low stakes. So definitely don't be psychologically deterred by losing. Take it as a learning experience, what you can improve, what you can bring for next time, what you can build, what you can look forward to. These things for live arena, I know it's not for everybody. And I know I speak from obviously somebody with a very advanced roster and advanced gear that can gear everyone in different ways. Some people cannot do that, of course, but try your best at taking risks and trying to mix things up whenever things get a little bit dicey. Obviously, stick to your tried and true guns when you got a good matchup going on. But yeah, so just a quick comment about just having fun in the format. Anyways guys, so that's going to be it for the video. Just 5 quick beginner tips. I hope it helps somebody out there. Mainly I want to bring out these type of videos just to help people trying to get into live arena, because it's a format that not many people play or really get into. Mainly because it's a huge time sink for very minimal rewards. However, adding the quartz into this chest reward now brings much higher value to doing live arena. So definitely give it a shot if you guys are not already well into it. Hopefully these tips helped you guys out. Let me know in the comments below what tips you guys can provide lower tier players. Let me know if the video helped, and let me know if you guys like the content so far. Appreciate your time as always. Thank you guys so much. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.